Great job by Andre Q, but nobody can touch! Oh, no way! Lebda so far has proven to be one of the best players.
This is something that this region is known for.
Oh! No way Hybrid hit that shot!
Nothing short of magnificent. No! He's trick-shotting!
I mean, what an exciting time.
From this moment, welcome to Overwatch Contenders.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Change of pace, just ever so slightly, with Rich Rat here and Kenobi. We are so excited to continue on these playoffs for today in the EMEA region. It's been a while since we've been here, Kenobi, and, you know, we typically stay in that NA region, so we're going to be here for the tail end of this broadcast.
Yeah, the broadcast has gotten somehow less European, but also more European at the same time. Our accents are very American, but, you know, you and I, you from Italy, me from France and Turkey, we've got some EMEA blood in ourselves.
Yeah, but you speak the language.
That is true. I do speak a little bit of French. You probably can speak some Italian. I can't imagine it's that bad, you know.
It's pretty bad.
Okay. I tried to throw you a bone.
I know,
let that
really
be known,
did.
But I mean, it's been a while. You're right, since we've been in EMEA and we're in the playoffs, so a lot of stakes on the line, especially now that we're moving into the losers bracket part of a lot of the incoming weeks that we're going to be having. As we can take a look at the bracket to see how the teams have gotten to where they are respectively. Twisted Minds continuing to be undefeated, looking absolutely incredible as they normally do in tournaments like this. And as we look over towards the losers bracket as well, it's going to be interesting because I think that this matchup between Triple Esports and Sheer Cold is so interesting to me, right? Oh yeah, you can see 3-2 against Sheer Cold over there. Oh yeah was the second seed, and Sheer Cold played them very, very close, taking it all the way to that map 5 in Triple Esports, beating SR Peak Check very handedly, and then losing to Twisted Minds, which, you know, kind of is just like the way it goes, right? Twisted Minds, I think, is probably going to make their way pretty convincingly through that winner's side into that grand finals. But I think this is a matchup that's going to be, it's interesting that one of these teams is going to go out this early, because I think they've both showed pretty impressive stuff throughout the bracket so far.
They really have. And before we start diving into the rosters, make sure that you give your predictions. We always love seeing them. There were some close ones earlier today, but now we're looking to see if it's going to be the same way, as we do get to take a look at Triple Esports and their roster. We got to see that most recently, just moments ago, which is fantastic to be able to already be fresh and leading into what we've had. Some stellar play all around. Yazan doing some great work. The support's keeping a lot of them, you know, continuing to, you know, aid them in that process of doing significant work against their opponents.
And I think the thing for Yazan that's interesting is, like, Yazan is almost like a win condition in and of himself, right? I think that that's the biggest thing, where if you have someone who's kind of this storied, this good at, like, those flying heroes, I think you have to put a lot of resources into someone like that to be able to pop off. So I think for Triple Esports, we saw even earlier today, right, they were putting a lot of resources into that Echo, trying to get them that pocket from Anj. And I think that from Triple Esports' perspective, it really is all eggs in the Yazan basket, but that's not to say the rest of the lineup around, Yazan is something to slouch at, right? They all are pretty good in their own right, but it feels like a lot of the time this is very much, let's let Yazan try and carry us.
And then we can take a look at their opponent going forward. And I have to say, this roster had really, really put on a performance. It was such a close match when we took a look at yesterday and how it panned out, finding themselves again in this lower bracket. And there's one individual that I really have to just shout out, is Sucrax, who on the Ana was impeccable. The amount of contribution to this team, with already everyone else working at such a high level, was sublime from them.
Yeah, I think Sucrax has been, almost tied intrinsically with this Sheer Cold roster, like starting way back in 2020 on a roster like this, always having good performances, specifically on that flex support role. And the thing about Sheer Cold is that to play that close against Oh Yeah, who is a team that is very, I'll say, difficult to play against in terms of the amount of mental RAM you have to use to be able to beat a team like that, because of the heroes that they play, because it's not technically the standard of Overwatch right now. Taking them to 5, I think, is a pretty good experience from them. So I think that this is definitely going to be a close one between Triple Esports and Sheer Cold. Sheer Cold, though, I think showing great performance yesterday against a team as good as Oh Yeah is, especially coming in as that second seed, as the 7th seed now moving through this lowers bracket. And this one, I honestly think could go either way. I would be very shocked to see Chad not be leaning so heavily towards one side after what we've seen so far with both these teams on broadcast.
And that's why we need those predictions, because this is going to be a good one. It's like, especially you get like the bragging rights for a match in this losers one that's going to potentially go the distance as we are entering onto Lijiang Tower first. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that first sub map's going to be to depict if there's anything specifically different that we have adjusted compositionally. You know, we did see a lot of Wrecking Ball previously that came out from All Yeah when it was Sheer Cold facing off against them, residing on that Diva play, counteracting against it. But in comparison, we did see a lot of Junker Queen when it did come out to the previous map as well for Control when they were on the map of Nepal by Triple Esports.
Yeah, and I think this is Lijiang Tower. It's a map that is really good for Triple Esports because of the fact that it is a map where you can play a lot of the heroes that Yazan is good at, right? Pharah, very good on these maps, right? It's kind of been a map that, through the test of time, has always had Pharah just kind of in there, specifically on Gardens, right? That's one that you kind of like always think about Pharah's playing at. Specifically, I think about Shadowburn deflecting a rocket right back into Tvik's face back in Season 1. Like, that's what I think about when I think of a Lijiang Tower map like this. So, as we go into it, you're right, it will be interesting to see which sub-map we go to first, because I think it is going to be kind of detrimental to Triple Esports if they somehow lotto into Control Center, where maybe you can't play necessarily the strengths of Yazan because it is so enclosed and it's a little bit easier to take down that Pharah.
Yeah, having that roof and those enclosed narrow hallways that you have to work through into the initial point can be really challenging to make it work, but there is that outskirt window area where there are those two larger space openings, or at least once you're into that open space, you can kind of play up towards that balcony area and still be able to gain value. But we are going to be entering onto that map specifically, as it will be our first round. Waiting to see. Make sure you get those predictions in. Seconds still remain before the game starts, and you know those seconds that I said that still remain, you're actually going to add a little bit more on there because there's a quick pause.
Just waiting to see everyone get into the lobby. Make sure everyone's, tech issues, don't want to have any of those just popping up at the random. Good thing it's now and like not in the middle of a team fight, because those are usually like the worst ones, right? So at least we're getting it out now. Getting all the pauses out now.
Especially if you're climbing up to like an ultimate and then you lose that ultimate economy and you're just like, oh, it feels bad. And sometimes we've seen it be either very, very minimal that they lose or extremely catastrophic. Like you are like at 90+% and then you're completely losing out on it. And it's one of those things that you can't really kick yourself for due to the technical issue, but we will see as we enter into it. And again, what I would like to expect, I'm feeling that Sheer Cold is going to look to try and stick to something they're very comfortable with, and also really interested to see how the support is going to, load out here specifically for this map.
Yeah, I think for Sheer Cold, especially, I think Diva's going to be very important. Diva's kind of like cropped up in terms of priority, not in EMEA a lot, I think mostly, but like also in like other parts of the Overwatch League. I think it's something that we've seen a lot more of, and it is probably one of the best things to deal with those flying heroes. If Yazan is going to be sticking solely towards an Echo,
100%.
Sticking towards a Pharah, you have to really pilot that Diva effectively to try and counteract a lot of the value that the Pharah or Echo is going to try and get. And I think also, with your mention of Sucrax, I think Sucrax is someone who can also help a little bit, right? If you're on Baptiste or you're on Ana, you do have some ability to help out a little bit with the Pharah battle. So I think that that's, again, something else we have to be looking out for, is how Sheer Cold are going to be able to maneuver around Yazan. Because saying, oh, these heroes like are really good at countering the flying heroes, Yazan is probably one of the best that we have in all of Overwatch at piloting them, and it's going to be a tall task to deal with. You have to come correct. If you make any mistakes, Yazan will punish you.
A true aviator, a maverick, some would say, to be able to elude some of that incoming damage, as we do have the seconds dwindle entering onto this and get that final confirmation of what these compositions are going to look like. And I am excited, as you kind of mentioned already, going onto that Diva, what it's going to comprise of, and the support adjustments here, as we're going to have, Sucrax going onto the Moira.
Yeah, this is a lot. This is just survivability, I think, but Triple Esports actually not going to be opting in for any of the flying heroes. They're just going to come out on a straight rush style of composition, so they're going to want to try and find one of those backline members or the Diva and just completely annihilate them, because they do have a little bit of a poke advantage right here. Look at how much space they've taken away. And Sheer Cold, do they have the healing to be able to deal with that with the Moira?
Legendary's just been pumping out damage from this Hanzo on that upper stairway. Can't quite find the execution just yet, as you do have Muse flanking around the back, finding the pickup onto one, so they completely lose that main healing that is necessary just to keep them going. Triple East unfortunately going to fall because of that early pickup on the support.
really great dive from Sheer Cold, right? They weather the storm kind of these pick potentials. You can see Legendary is doing a lot. I mean, already 72% towards that Dragon Strike, but didn't manage to find those picks that you really like from a composition like this, and then the hack came in onto one. Once the Baptiste is down, you've lost pretty much all the healing for Triple Esports compositions, and you can just get run over. So really nicely played from Sheer Cold to start things out.
Yeah, and Legendary recognizes that there's not going to be much more value gained after that initial engagement that they had with the Hanzo. So the Tracer comes out to look for their flanking harassment as well, rounding this corner, completely swarming that D.Va play, overwhelming, demeching, and shutting down, sending back to spawn. Muse now having to force the recall up the stairway. The Vortex also denies a little bit of the mobility and slows them out upon their exit. There's still at least some contention for the moment to generate this percentage on the initial round, but it will swap over to Triple Esports.
Yeah, they're waiting patiently. Actually, Sucrax is going to commit this Coalescence to this fight to try and just make something happen. Nice stick from Muse onto Mo, and that's going to be a fight win. There's no tank left for Triple Esports in this fight.
And then the timing works out so well because now you have Sheer Cold back with their tank, opting to go onto the Ramatra. The Pulse Bomb does come through. Wall denies a little bit of the healing, but there is still some assistance from the support line in the back. Sheer Cold maneuver out of the Blizzard, so they are not going to get locked down and for sure get that sound barrier to keep them even more fortified. Work wonders through this re-engagement, and that retaliation that comes through by Sheer Cold is so worthwhile that they don't allow Triple Esports to bypass them in percentage.
Triple Esports used a lot in that fight, and a lot of it was actually counteracted by QRX with their, specifically on that Sombra. I mean, the EMP to just finish off that fight did wonders for the team, and Triple Esports, very, very expensive fight for them. You can see Legendary actually going back over to the Hanzo to offer a little bit more of that pick potential, but also, again, with how good QRXU has been on this Sombra so far with these hacks, you need to find a way to counter this.
Leaning in heavily already with the Ramatra, getting those punches as it comes back tenfold by Triple Esports, dropping onto the position, negating so much damage, finally maneuvering out of it. The Annihilation is contributed as well, since you had Triple Esports managing to get that first because of that swap between the D.Va and the Ramatra, so there's no way that Sheer Cold was managing to be able to catch up, and it's going to lean heavily back in favor of Triple Esports.
Yeah, just stall tactics right now, and I wonder for Sheer Cold, are they going to stay on this Moira? I think you can stay on it for one more fight, especially because you have Coalescence available to you, so you can kind of just brute force your way in. It's also going to help the Ramatra really be enabled because you just throw Coalescence behind the Ramatra, and this Ramatra isn't going to be able to die, so if Triple Esports don't get these support ultimates in time, there's a very real chance that Sheer Cold can run over.
Nice hack for the moment. Pulse Bomb is denied by the Immortality field. Dragon Strike is primed and ready as that Annihilation continues to chip away at the health value onto Triple East. Moving forward, but still keeping centralized around that inner pillar. Legendary not quite yet going down until finally the headshot comes in by QRX. Collapsing forward, Sheer Cold is definitely pressing hard against Triple East on this and will be able to swap it back with a final few, and there's one last engagement now for them to come back at this.
Yeah, just too much sustainability for Triple Esports to deal with. But they use both support ultimates, which was disastrous for them because QRXU is coming up towards an EMP, and you can see Yazan on the other side sitting around that 90% towards the Blizzard, and we have to remember that EMP now does cancel Blizzard, so that match between those two ultimates is going to be incredibly important in this next fight.
Wall's active, Vortex committed. Looking to see how they round that center pillar. Yazan nearing this Blizzard. It is almost available. There's an EMP that comes in quickly. The Blizzard now tossed into the mix, but it's already the 2 to the advantage here. Triple Esports now only has 3 to work with, but Anj comes in with a 2-piece themselves towards the end of this, evening the score. The second support is down. Sheer Cold looked like they had the advantage out the gate, but Triple Esports are now starting to take sole control of this.
I mean, Yazan just gave his life for that fight, uses the Blizzard, and Anj was sitting there just triple doinking people in that Blizzard and absolutely brought that fight back from what looked like a complete loss after that EMP from QRXU, and Triple Esports now come back in. Yazan on their trusty fare here. Ooh. Last fight territory. Muse has got to be looking for a Pulse Bomb, but Legendary has one too.
It has to be massive to get that early lead, but yes, the counterplay can be there by Legendary. The shield will block some of the initial rockets from Yazan, who is playing so high in the sky, just scratching the top of the roof. No one can really focus on it heavily and just continuing to lay waste. Muse goes down. You've got the headshot coming in from up front. Pulse Bomb follows through. Wasn't able to get anything from Muse, but Legendary sure as heck did. Is now in the overtime. You have Triple Esports managing to take this first round.
And that's big for Triple Esports because this is the map I was talking about where I was like, oh, you know, if they're going to be playing a lot of that Pharah composition, a lot of these, you know, Echo compositions from them, how are they going to be able to pilot on Control Center? And there it worked really well for them. I mean, the Mei from Yazan, I think, was doing a great job. Legendary also coming in clutch a lot of the times on that Tracer. And I think someone else who deserves a lot of credit is Anj. Anj only died one time. And as a Lucio, in the current meta and the current state of things, Lucios are dying a lot, and for Anj to be able to play life a lot like that gave so much survivability and kept that mobility for the entirety of Triple Esports to win that fight, or win that round. So, you know, hats off to them. As now we go into these other two maps in Night Market and Gardens, where now the Pharah starts to become a problem.
Yep, it really, really does. This open landscape, there's so many different ways that you can maneuver around this pagoda where the main point is. And again, just looking at that percentage, there's a lot in the chat that's looking for Triple Esports as they've already managed to take this initial round. Up top, getting boosted by that close proximity. Muse actually takes down one, so they've lost this honor early and solely have to rely now onto this Mercy play, which is still attached to Yazan. Legendary sweeping around the back, does find the pickup onto the Sombra from QRXU as they drop down. There's the rockets we love to see landing, mark, and target. It is going to be Sheer Cold at least swapping this first, but Triple Esports navigating their way through it to be able to swap it back, collapsing onto the few that remain into the back position, and should be able to, as long as they finalize this D.Va and remaining outskirts play.
But I mean, this is what I was talking about, right? Where that fight is opened up by Yazan specifically because there's just like one moment where the Lucio is just out of the sights of where the defense matrix is and instantly just gets bodied by Yazan on that Pharah. So this is something, again, that they have to be careful of on the other side, as Legendary will go down. So this might be a moment where Sheer Cold can try and take some space, aggress a little bit, but they do have to still be wary about these rockets.
Yeah, because they don't have to be as concerned about the flanking maneuver, even though they will get there shortly since their spawn is back up. Nice pickup, though, onto one. Again, solely leaving Anj by themselves to have to work through this. And, of course, it's going to be pocketed to Yazan on the outside there, but deviating away to keep the D.Va topped up as it's still a nice positioning here from Sheer Cold.
It was a really good hack there onto one by QRXU, making sure that they could just dive onto them without any threat of Kitsune Rush or survivability as the pulse bomb comes in, misses. Oh, Anj just getting incredibly low. Hacked. They're one. The Valkyrie comes out, though.
Bob and weave and the ultimate committed. It is necessary now to lean into this heavily to utilize it to its maximum potential. Nice hack for the moment onto Yazan, but is able to play to the outside, chasing down once again. But unfortunately, QRXU gets the better end of it. Muse takes the elimination onto D.Va as well once the mech is gone, and that's going to be Sheer Cold this whole time accumulating percentage.
Yeah, they're getting up their percentage, and, you know, finally for Sheer Cold, I mean, one of the things that I think they've been doing so well is focusing down one, no matter what support they're on. There's always a hack coming in from QRXU, and then the follow-up is really good because you have a Lucio, a Tracer, a Moira, and a D.Va to just completely run onto that backline, and I don't care what support you are, there's not a lot that's going to be able to heal you from that.
Muse dropping from on high. Watchful eye onto one, goes in for the dive, can't quite get the full clip as Yazan, raining rockets, looks for the follow-up but can't quite get multiple picks as QRXU shuts him down. EMP comes in. This is a numbers advantage once again. Sheer Cold, despite, as you mentioned, that this being a window of opportunity to have the Pharah play, Sheer Cold has weathered this storm.
They're just playing so well around it. I mean, again, I can't stress enough how important it is that their focus is onto one here. One hasn't really been able to play the game a lot of these times because they're getting dove on by so many members, and now Triple Esports has got to be desperation to get back onto this point. Kitsune Rush actually, I think, was canceled by another hack from QRXU. This map was, like, entirely QRXU on this Sombra. I mean, this is just really good adaptation and understanding that, like, the Pharah is a little bit slow in terms of, like, you know, moving forward. Yes, you can do a lot of damage with directs, but, like, if you're just a singular support in that backline, whether you're an Ana, whether you're a Kiriko, if you're getting hacked and you're getting run on by 4 people, you die. And that's exactly what's been happening, and then it's a 5v4, and then it's just a numbers advantage from that point. So really good understanding from Sheer Cold on that map. A map that, again, really does favor that Pharah play, but Sheer Cold really took the tempo in themselves and never really let Triple Esports set up that Pharah to just continuously spam down.
And you can even see if this does come out, I'm anticipating it will be to counteract against that Sombra Tracer. We do have the Torbjorn because this is still an aerial opportunity here for Yazan.
Be playing it on this map totally fine, and now you have a little bit more of like geometry in the middle of the map to be able to move around with this lighthouse. But I think if you're Sheer Cold, you want to try and play on point here. You have a Moira and a Lucio, get those AoE heals up and try and just, again, weather that storm as much as you can. Let QRX, oh well, not like QRX farm you, but it's not going to be able to happen.
Nope, after the last demonstration that we saw and the ability to deny the Pharah play right out the gate, absolutely shut it down. And this transition back to the point, continuing to rain these rockets. There is still some great defense matrices to take a few of those incoming rockets, but Sheer Cold recognizes they have to leave this alone. And then they recycle back
flipped.
in.
Yeah, it's flipped, but Anja's dead, so that is a lot of healing that's going to be lost, and actually Legendary gone too, so now the Torbjorn is no longer there, and that's a DPS loss too.
See, the biggest part of this too is we saw a lot from Sheer Cold when it comes to the initial neutral fight. Even if they may give this point up initially, they actually have a higher success rate at the neutral outright.
I mean, they're going to be able to take this in like 17%, and the biggest thing here is going to be Yazan coming back in with that barrage. You're going to be looking at that D.Va to be able to get back into mech. I think they should be able to do so, yeah, get back in. So it's going to be really on this defense matrix to be able to do something, but actually a nice hack comes out already from QRXU, and actually focusing a little bit onto the Pharah in the sky.
Ooh, nice takedown onto the Torbjorn again, denying what that can bring in contribution with the turret. There is a 1-for-1 trade, though. It's more impactful, though, losing the support rockets instantly onto the Moira play. No coalescence for you, my friend. There's a D-Mech for the self-destruct, gonna elude out of the way. Actually clips Anj when they were going in for the res. The timing just ever so slightly off, and you'll have Triple Esports fall back, and these couple more rockets with a melee to the face from Jans.
Yeah, Anj is the support I want in my games that just reses me in front of a self-destruct and is just like, I'm giving my life for you. Go ahead. I'm totally fine dying here. That's the type of support I want in my ranked games, being able to heal me up in the face of death like that as Triple Esports. Now, this is a great position for them to be in. They have a lot of poke potential. The Pharah is kind of unstoppable at this point, especially with what Sheer Cold are running, because they don't have a long-range threat or anything like that. It's really going to come down to QRXU and what they're going to be able to do with this EMP.
Oh, this bridge is so dangerous. Looking to see if you get any of the knockoffs, but there is still some high mobility despite that. Another double direct rocket coming in from Yazan up top, completely nullifying anything from QRXU. And you can just see Legendary just gonna roam free, do what the dwarf chooses.
And I mean, that EMP got absolutely no value from QRXU because it was taken down. And again, this is what Triple Esports wants to do. They want to be in this position where they can continuously spam down. And Sheer Cold not making any swaps for them, which is, I mean, the problem is that really this Torbjorn has done so much at dealing with Sheer Cold. I mean, you can see Muse is 1 health right now. Had to recall because they're getting hit by a hot Cheeto from Narnia at this point because the spam is too much for Sheer Cold to deal with.
Yeah, that is a spicy Cheeto. As those rockets again, deja vu, 3rd time's the charm here, still standing tall. Yazan left uncontested in the skies and able to do so much. The damage boost consistently being there when necessary, as we're in the home stretch for Triple Esports.
Yeah, and I mean, the barrage is here. It's going to get eaten up, but how much is going to be able to do? Self-destruct comes out, and that's not going to be able to do anything. 97% up and ticking. Rez is here to keep, or get Legendary back into this fight, and that should be it.
Yep, just going to see them hold strong here. Mo holding on this big position with that D.Va self-destruct to zone them off if they do look to bring a few more reinforcements from the back line. Nice D-Mac again, but it's still going to leave them away from this initial position. The harassment from Sheer Cold is continuing to come in like stinging hornets, but there is never enough of them for being able to actually counteract this overtime, as you have Triple Esports claiming this first map of control.
And it was an interesting set of maps because, again, we started off on Control Center, and I was thinking, you know, is this going to be great for Yazan? Yazan comes out, plays a very good Mei, and then we go over to Night Market, where the rotations, I think, or the adaptation on, like, the focus from Sheer Cold was really good, you know, focusing down one, knowing that if this Ana or Kiriko is just left by themselves, we hack and we dive 4 people onto them, they're going to die. But then I think the Torbjorn pick really stifled what Sheer Cold wanted to do. QRXU and Muse were non-existent, except in the death kill feed on that map of Gardens, because the Torbjorn was just putting out so much pressure. It gave a lot of space as well for Yazan to work on what is arguably the best map for a Pharah on Lijiang Tower. So I think really good adaptations from both of the teams here, but Triple Esports, the fact that they won Control Center, I think really gave them kind of the Joker's card and being able to just say, like, hey, these next 2 maps are very favored for Pharah. We can win one of them at least.
Yeah, and since we've not been in the EU aspect, at least casting it, it was a pleasant return to be able to see these direct rockets land and just feel so good. Just living vicariously through Yazan and the way that they've played on this Pharah, and again, everything just goes 100% in their favor on this 3rd round. They completely read this the proper way necessary with Legendary onto the Torbjorn. Everything falls in suit, and that allows them this first point.
And I think for Sheer Cold at this point, it's like, okay, can we continue to run like this double flanker, especially now that we've seen the Torbjorn, right? It will be very map dependent, I think, and also the Pharah becomes pretty map dependent too. If I'm Sheer Cold, I'm like, I'm not taking him to any maps that are like, hey, this is very Pharah favored. I don't think you want to do that. If Yazan is going to be staying in this lineup, you probably at least want to move them over to the Echo or something like that, but because Pharah's like the one thing that you don't want to see from Yazan, right? They were able to counter it on one map, but then like once the double flanker setup with like the Sombra and the Tracer got countered by the Torbjorn, it completely fell apart for Sheer Gold. So Triple Esports in the driver's seat right now after map 1, and I think that Sheer Cold, we've seen that they are able to like make adaptations, right? Going over from for that first map to the second map, like you're like, hey, we know that there's this like weakness in Triple Esports with the supports. We can focus that down, and now they need to continue kind of like doing that and adapting into this mid set. Because if not, I think Triple Esports are totally fine. Continue to handshake this composition and say like, yeah, we'll just let Yazan freak.
Yeah, and it's really going to be interesting to see the avenue and the formula that they choose to really be able to counteract it, because they know exactly where that strength lies. And even just in this singular round of adaptation, because it was a very, very great, well-rounded way of stifling Yazan when it came to that second round. But the third one, again, just accepting, hey, one thing, then another, one thing, and another. You know, it's just ultimately they've been doing a fantastic job, as we do have confirmation here with Blizzard World as our next map.
Blizzard World is good. I think this is a fantastic pick from Sheer Cold, because I think Pharah and Echo can theoretically work. However, this is a very open map, and a map where hit scans are really, really strong. We've seen a lot of them really come to prevalence. Those long-range sightlines are really important to deal with any of those members in the air. So I think that as we go forward into a map like this, I wonder if we do see any of that Pharah or any of that Echo from Yazan.
I mean, it's very reasonable because, again, there's such a high skybox as we're now going to be looking into this. And, you know, again, as we're going towards the later part of the map, that's where things kind of change up a little bit, where we do have, you know, that more enclosed area inside of, you know, that skybox and trying to work through that castle stage. But the initial, you know, point for capture, then going into the escort, is going to be where that can really flourish and strive.
And I wonder, too, if we see Sucrex on the Zen or something like that, or on the Baptiste, because I think that Sucrex is someone who, like, on a map like this, especially where, like, flex supports and, like, Ana, Zen, Baptiste can get a lot of value, I think that that's something we have to continue to look out for, because Sucrex was on Moira duty, and Moira's not really the most pop-offy character. Let me be real with you. It's mostly, you know, I'm diving in, I'm throwing my orbs, and then I'm coalescing. Can't really leverage a lot of mechanical skill on the Moira, I'll say. That's the nicest way I'll say. Sorry to all the Moira mains in chat, but you've ruined my rank games. I'm sorry, all the DPS Moiras. I'm just getting PTSD. But I think that is something that, again, I think could change the dynamic of this matchup if you put Sucrex on a hero that is going to be a little bit more impactful on a long-range map like this, because I think Blizzard World is one of those maps where we do see that flex support really, really shine.
Yeah, and what we had yesterday and just well-rounded gameplay is going to be something I have such a keen eye on, and how it's going to be able to turn out. And it's also just going to be, especially with the mechanism of playing up, especially when we go to the initial point before transitioning into the payload phase, just that holding that high ground in the back, understanding that ebb and flow of the positioning to drop down when necessary. So there's a number of different mechanical things that are going to go into this, especially if they just want to find the best opportunity to counteract this Pharah or Echo play that was going to be presented.
Or, I mean, to be fair to Yazan, we could just see, like, something else. We did see, like, the Mei, which I think is, like, I think the thing from Mei is, I wouldn't expect it on this map. Maybe on third. I think that would be, like, the one place I would maybe expect it. But, like, Yazan, I think, has, like, throughout the history of, like, Yazan as a player, he's been very much the flying heroes, and like, some projectile, right? It's been a lot of kind of, like, this very narrow hero pool. To give credit to him, it is a very, very good narrow hero pool, right? You could have made arguments at points, I think, in time where Yazan is the best Pharah that's like in the world. Like, I'm not just talking in contenders. There was times where Yazan was so incredible on this hero that I think people were really like, yeah, maybe the Yazan is like just the best Pharah in the world because of their understanding, and Echo is kind of a little bit similar to that. So we'll see what Triple Esports run out on the offensive side. But if you want to let us know your thoughts, hashtag OWPTP2023. We want to hear from you. Maybe get your tweets on broadcast. You know, we like that.
You're talking about best plays, and I want to see best tweets. So go use that, friends. We want to see what you have so that we can present it and see what we think and how good they actually are. You know, throw at us. us. Throw down. As we've got 4 minutes now as the
hit.
doors open. Yeah, we're already starting out the gate. I love to see purple when it's coming from that sheer cold side.
So it is going to be the Pharah here on the defensive end. So the thing is though, I wonder. Okay, Yazan actually like went back and looked. So this is going to be again the double flex support look, and Legendary goes onto the Torgrim. So again, this is going to be a very tricky situation for Muse and for QRXU to maneuver around this, because Legendary is going to have a lot of value here, just putting down those turrets and dealing with those flank angles.
And the chase begins underneath through the stairway, collectively moving together towards that mining shaft. You do have Sobek in a body block for the moment, so there's still an opportunity for Sucrax to continue putting out enough healing. Slow, methodical play, pushing into this for now. Legendary going to have to force some of the defensive, looking for some shots as well. And that turret looking for sightlines, but nobody's really needed to play too forward, and that's a great pickup out the gate, though, to help against Anj.
Huge pickup on the Anj, because that means Yazan has to play a little bit carefully, because they don't want to get dove on by the members of Sheer Cold. Yazan has to retreat, get that Mercy back, but Triple Esports don't want to give up this position.
Packed as well, has to boost her away, looking for the health pack. Still not fully topped up for the moment, working their way to the next health pack until they can re-enter onto this. Back as a full 5 is necessary, though. Mitigating and preventing damage onto the turret even, so it can find an angle. Sucrax goes down, and that's going to lead into so much opportunity here for this initial tick.
Yeah, Moa did a great job there, blanketing Legendary, who was trying to heal up their turret and shoot onto that Ana, and Sucrax ended up going down. Sucrax has a Nano boost available to him, so maybe they throw it onto the D.Va and try and engage here and get back. Oh my god, Muse just got evaporated. What on earth?
That was coming in hot and laying down a barrage of just sheer force. And now with it going to be only a sliver remaining for this initial completion, the rockets continue to rain. No one can get close. And this is where you start to see the salt in the wound continue to burn.
And I wonder now if this is where we start to see some switches from Sheer Cold, because that felt like they got the one pick onto Anj really early, and not really anything else from that, right? I mean, Muse has been stifled a little bit, so has QRXU. I mean, both of them doing sub 1,000 damage as of right now, because they just haven't been able to move, right? Legendary kind of just threw that turret up. It's been pocketed really well by him and the rest of the team, and there's not really a way for Sheer Cold to get into this. Yes, they'll have 4 ultimates here, but they need to win this fight to stop the bleeding.
You can already see QRXU hugging that inner wall to see what value they can find in the back with an EMP, but the aggression comes forward, hyper-focusing onto the Ana play. But they manage to get underneath that archway so they don't get completely shut down. Couple more rockets, the damage is coming through, but it is just Anj fueling Yazan on this high ground. And while that's happening, they deviate away, get the res. Muse is down, EMP onto 3, but there's no follow-up onto it. They can't get the damage onto any of these targets. The Bionade's the only thing that lands, but the rally continues to give them protection and armament as Sheer Cold continues to draw back.
Good eat there, actually. The concussive grenade was not being able to get there from Yazan, but the D-Mech is there. Can Smones get back in mech? And they do, but they're gonna Blizzard Barrage right on top of them, and they're right back out of it.
Eating every one of them. The entirety of that animation is just soaking damage. This reposition, death from above from Yazan, and just taking names the whole way.
I mean, the cart, luckily, has not been moving throughout all of that, because they would have capped right now, but their Muse is just trying their best to get back onto this point. We're going to see the replay here of just some really, again, great Pharah play coming out from Yazan, just understanding the ins and outs of this hero. Nice 3K, and I think this is actually going to be a cap here for Triple Esports. So self-destruct coming in, trying to zone them off.
Oh, nice, able to just hide behind the payload. Buys a few more seconds here for Sheer Cold with the tank up front. Flanking position. QRXU contributing into that. Sleep Dart isn't going to last too long since the damage is still coming through with the micro rockets, with Muse rounding the corner again, hugging the pillar, denying access, but one still gets a pickup, denies them before getting back into the mech since it came so swiftly. Triple Esports is in a position to get these last couple of meters, and they finally make enough space to claim it.
And I actually like that Sobek has gone over to the Zenyatta here just to offer a little bit more of that damage potential, but also long range, because I think every time Legendary puts down a turret, it's just living forever because there's not really any of that long range damage. But now with Sobek and Sucrax, they should be able to take these down a little bit more effectively here. But Sheer Cold, I mean, 3.5 minute time bank to go up against is a lot, and right now Triple Esports have all of the momentum in their bank.
And Sucrax is just feeling all those rivets in the body. That was just multiple shots consistently from one angle, and now you've got Yazan taking another up top and can really use that pillar in that center position just as it rounds the corner to mitigate a lot of those sightlines, and even this overhead position still getting a lot of value.
I mean, look how much zoning potential that Triple Esports has just by the virtue of Yazan sitting on the sideline and just pumping out towards those supports. Yes, you can try and get back onto this cart, but there's so much sustainability here on the cart as well.
Ooh, nice follow through though. You can see that there wasn't as much attention from the D.Va play, but once that window of opportunity presents itself, it was great reaction time to deny Yazan, especially when they've got the rocket barrage leading into this.
Yeah, that was kind of the first time where I think Yazan went a little bit too close to the sun, and it was a good punish from Sheer Cold, who now have some ultimates to be able to stop this bleeding. EMP, though.
Ooh, big EMP, all 5. Sorry, 1. That rally is going to bring you nothing. But there is a dual counteraction. Legendary and Anj commit their ultimates. Yazan is by the skin of their teeth surviving, and they are just broken right now as you have Sheer Cold looking to just stabilize around this corner and hold on.
Transcendence is committed. This is going to be a lot of healing available for Sheer Cold to be able to stop the bleeding. There's the hack onto Yazan, and we'll go down, and it's going to finally be Sheer Cold winning this fight, and now they can take a deep breath. They've taken a minute and a half off of this time bank that Triple Esports had at the start. It was a very expensive fight for them, but Triple Esports now, retaking with Pharah is always a lot harder than just kind of like, you know, defending with it, so they have to be a little bit careful of these flankers. You know, Legendary's gone over to the Tracer now to match, so they don't necessarily have the Torbjorn to counter that double flanker.
Look at this angle already. Okay, well, I was speaking confidently, but then when you have the assist coming in from Subek, that's extremely important to help deny it.
And I think that's something that the Zenyatta brings to the table, right, is that ability to put pressure down onto the Pharah with the Discord Orb, and then the D.Va can go up there and get aggressive onto them into that, you know, into the air, because Pharah is just not going to be able to survive with the healing just from the Mercy.
Oh, great assist coming in. Just recognizing that Sucrax was going to get run down by the Tracer play, denying any sort of follow-through. And now there's only 60 seconds for Triple Esports to work with.
Yeah, I think Triple Esports are waiting here for that nano boost coming in from 1. As actually this barrage comes in, it's eaten up completely, and that's actually going to be a very easy fight win here for Sheer Cold. They are starting to really put the screws to Triple Esports, who had a ton of momentum going into this one, and you're right, Rich. I mean, the time bank that they had has been dwindled down to only about 45 seconds by the time we get to this next fight, and now we see Yazan getting off that Pharah, going over to that Mei just to offer a little bit more survivability, because the Pharah has just not been working out.
We've been talking about the supports, the DPS, but IceNom9 has really stepped up in this home stretch right now and has done so much for the team. QRXU shuts down Legendary. Now they have to wait. This is going to be their last chance to get in here.
Zon is trying to go a little bit aggressive. Anj actually is able to take down Muse. That's a big pick. A lot of DPS lost here. Sheer Cold might have to commit ultimates.
EMP lands onto 3. There's a follow-through again. The booster-driven D.Va dives onto the back line and completely eradicates them from their position. 10 seconds to go. It's in shambles for Triple Esports.
They do have a Tracer, though, from Legendary, be able to touch this and proc that. Overtime Nano Boost is going to be available as well, but the Transcendence should be able to negate a lot of this incoming damage.
Yeah, but look at the Discord, how quickly you see the health be completely eliminated, and now they're going to have the self-destruct force them back. Nice wall as well to potentially lift it up and see if they can find anybody with a clever pick and the adjustment from Yazan, but can't quite find anybody in radius. Now, Sobek moving in up front with the Discord, wearing down the shield. The Transcendence is there. The sustainability is active. And now with the self-destruct, that should be the last nail in the coffin. Area denial, preventing them from getting onto this point. A hack continues to ensue, and a beauty of a Bionade that comes in from the back line, and that will be a hold here before completion in this round 1.
And I mean, it was a really, really difficult first and second point, but the second we got to like a more enclosed area, IceNom9 went absolutely bonkers. I mean, this D.Va was insane. 17 limbs, 14 final blows, 3 deaths, and most damage on the team. This D.Va was really enabled on third, and IceNom9 deserves a lot of credit for being able to, I think, not just like show up really heavily in the elims and damage category, but I think one of the things that we don't see like on the kill feed or in stats is the peel. I think D.Va defense matrix is something that is incredibly impactful, and we saw a lot of the times where there were members of of Sheer Cold who were like 1, who were almost dead. A few rockets or a few bullets from Tracer could have killed them, and IceNom9 is right there with that defense matrix to be able to keep them alive. So really, I think great D.Va play coming out from Sheer Cold to be able to stop that bleeding on third and give Sheer Cold a chance to win this one.
I mean, this whole tail end of the replays is all D.Va, like, because that's just how impactful it was. And it's just so great to see that step up, because everyone else, you know, we saw them firing on all cylinders, not to say that it wasn't coming from the tank line, but now you can really see in those dire moments when it gets so scary, in the intensity of the final few meters, as we take the swap of sides now and see if Sheer Cold can get a full completion.
And for Triple Esports, I think this is, you know, great for them on the defensive end, right? I think Sheer Cold has kind of already said that they're going to be like playing mostly this like double flanker style of composition. It's what they're comfortable with. I do like that Sobek is here on the Zenyatta. Again, I think it did a lot in terms of just putting in a little bit of extra pressure, but offering a little bit more long range damage, right? That is something that Sheer Cold really benefited from, because if you have the Zenyatta here, you're going to be able to potentially take down some of that turret. It's going to really be important to deal with if QRXU and Muse are going to get value.
The Immortality Field's already been spent, though, so they have to be very cautious, and that is the opening that leads into it, but it is punished. QRXU reads that beautifully with that frontal momentum, with the displacement rocket to get them into a prime position to aggress on the supports. It's really only a sacrifice onto one, but they gain everything else. It's all right, I got you, buddy. I'm just gonna stand right over you and defense matrix you.
I love doing that to my teammates when they're slept. I remember Lemon did that to me one time, and just, you know, tactical crouch on Reaper when I was sleeping. That didn't feel good, but Sheer Cold, gonna feel good for them. 5.5 minutes moving forward through second here, and you can see Triple Esports are just completely abandoning the fair, going over to that rush style of composition. And if you're Sheer Cold, you've got to be feeling good, because that means that they're not playing to what their biggest strengths are, right? You've forced them onto this more brawly style of composition, and Mo gets taken down very low, has to use the Nemesis form to keep themselves alive, but they just get popped again!
They're being eviscerated with that Discord orb. There is no way that they can sustain through it, and now this is going to be free progress, especially because they're edging their way towards this pylon terrace, taking this high ground, maneuvering them away from any sort of position of dominance.
Yeah, I mean, Triple Esports have no way to really juggle this high ground away. The best they can do is have the Sombra going in there, but Legendary ends up going down, and this is just Sheer Cold, the momentum all in their favor right now, moving forward, and with, you know, IceDom9 being able on this D.Va should be able to get back and onto that high ground and force Triple Esports off.
Yeah, look at how far back they are. This is such a quick movement through this streets phase. They are about to reach this checkpoint with 4:20 on the clock, and will continue to climb when they finalize these last two. The EMP guarantees that there is no one to stabilize on this position. Immortality Field is a guaranteed Sheer Cold defensive stance, as they now have 5.5 minutes in this home stretch.
Yeah, Triple Esports, I mean, luckily for them, this is like the best part of the map for their composition in this enclosed area, and they do have some ultimates to work with. You know, the Blizzard's going to be one, and Matrix is going to be great here. If Legendary can find EMP, that'll be good too, but 5.5 minutes, Rich, that's a lot of time to defend.
That is absolutely a time bank that you do not feel comfortable with, and realize that you have to play to perfection with its really only two corners that you have to work your way through. QRXU not having to force that translocate for that long was absolutely intense. They had a 5-player EMP from Legendary, but Sheer Cold is still holding on. Sobek with the Transcendence able to completely work their way through the entirety of the damage that comes out from Triple Esports. An annihilation as a desperate play. This was absolutely a masterclass from Sheer Cold, being able to completely deny Triple Esports and make them look like a shell from what we saw previously.
Yeah, this was an IceDom9 masterclass. I mean, an absolute obliteration. Ending the map, 30 limbs, 18 final blows, just 3 deaths. QRXU also deserves credit, didn't die that entire map. So, I mean, this was just a wonderful, wonderful performance from Sheer Cold, who looked like they had gotten punched in the mouth very early on this map, but managed at third point to really stall it out. IceDom9, I think, deserves a lot of credit on that D.Va. Again, doing the things that sometimes don't show up in the kill feed, right, with the defense matrix, being able to stay, you know, being able to keep the members of his team alive. A lot of them had, like, very little deaths, specifically the backline. Sucrex and Sobek only died 4 times each, and, I mean, that is a lot to do with them and themselves and like the heroes that they're playing, but also I think it has a lot to do with IceDom9's being able to be there a lot of the times with the defense matrix, keep them alive. And again, once kind of Triple Esports was forced onto the brawl composition, right? That's when, if you're Sheer Cold, you're like, okay, we've kind of done it. We've passed the first skill check in the first phase of the boss. Now we're going, and it's like it's a little bit easier now because they're not on completely what their comfort is.
And you said it as we went towards that final segment, like that last little third position was the best opportunity for the composition that they had. They landed a 5-player EMP. They had the Annihilation. They had the Blizzard even to be able to lock everybody down. There were so many things that could stack up if they absolutely needed to, but Sheer Cold, with a force of will, is able to weather everything that was thrown at them. The Transcendence was impeccable, all around stellar play, allowing them to make this a 1-to-1 map score. But we're going to be heading to a short break before getting into the third map, so don't go anywhere.
Has your music lately been sounding off? Melodies sounding out of tune? Shows ending without a swoon? Missing your beats? With no way to improve your feats? Well, just you wait until you get your hands on the brand new Overwatch Contenders Lucio skin! Obtaining such a masterpiece is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim each outstanding offer, including the luminescent and lustrous lime locks of Lucio, equipped with the latest and greatest hardware and software. The Overwatch Contenders Lucio skin will be sure to heighten your harmonies and fire up your fans.
Kenobi, can you hear me? That's right. It's Overwatch Operation Dive Party. Yep, the place where Contenders and OWL players are excluded. Yes, that's right. For all of you out there that want to sign up, their sign-ups are open now. It's from July 5th through August 12th for a $5,000 prize pool per region over and out. Kenobi.
So does that mean it's our time? Does that mean we got to get all the casters here on tier 2 and just get them into a team?
For that. I'm actually up for that.
Put our money where our mouth is, that
I would.
Might be something we have to do. Who do you think? Okay, I think Dustin should coach us though. I think that would be fair. Like, because Dustin's like for a pro player. Maybe we can just make him a coach, and then there you go. The rest of us will just
here's the thing,
feed our brains out.
Do you really think that all of you are gonna want me to be on my Arisa one trick and have him coach me? Like that's not.
No. We're counting on it. Okay, we're not expecting. We're counting on it.
I'll give it to Door. We'll let the rhyme play ensue. We'll just do that, and I'll just linger in the background on some other. But, you know, as we are entering back into this, again, make sure that you do go and take a look at that information for science if you'd like to compete. Again, that's a great opportunity that we do have for you. But we can now hop back into game where it's a 1-to-1 map score. Competitive, we did think at the start, and it is for sure being that way. And we can say that Sheer Cold on the map of Blizzard World has a really stepped up in comparison to how that first map of Control was, and they're really just elevating as a whole, and we highlighted so much of the tank play just in general from that last one. I'd love to see it continue.
Yeah, I think Icedom9 really had a good performance on the tank in particular. You know, the D.Va, I think statistically was just incredible from what we saw. However, I think also the ability, you know, for them to change things, right? When we were on Control, they didn't change too much of their composition, right? They kind of stayed on the double flanker look, you know, with the Moira Lucio, and it was mostly Triple Esports who were making those changes. But on Blizzard World, I gotta give credit to Sheer Cold, who did make a lot of changes, you know, putting Sucrax onto a Baptiste, onto an Ana, putting Sobek onto the Zen, I think was also a really big deal as well, helping out with that, you know, Pharah in the air, putting some pressure onto the Pharmacy, no matter if it was the Mercy or the Pharah. So I think that that was one of the things that I wanted to see change for Sheer Cold, coming from that first map into the second map, and they did that very well, and I think it was very much part of why they were able to stall the momentum of Triple Esports, because we have to remember, Triple Esports came in on that Blizzard World on the defense, and like they were playing fantastic on their offense. Like they got, I think, to third with 3.5 minutes in their bank. Like they had a very
substantial
hefty time.
Absolutely.
Very hefty time bank, and it was a great defense from Sheer Cold. But as we go to our next map, which is going to be Rialto, again, this is where I think that we have to see again how it's going to be looking with Yazan in the air, on a Pharah, on an Echo, because again, this is a map where Rialto, a lot of geometry to play around, a lot of corners with the walls. Pharah works incredibly well here, so it doesn't make sense to me why they're going to be playing on a map like this. But if Sheer Cold can continue to use those things that they learned in Blizzard World on a map like this, then I think that they still have a chance to put up a pretty hefty defense.
Yeah, and again, we'll just look to see if we can continue to see the fire that's coming from this tank line and just being able to make sure that they can stifle in addition to what the rest of the squad can do for Yazan. And you even touched on it too. The fact that it was at a point of where Yazan said, I have to swap. Like, you have already taken a substantial strength away from this team and what they have really been relying on and the success that they've had. So being able to already force them into, you know, having to change their frame of mind, they were going into the right direction, but when you see that big shift in comfort, it really did show and reflect on Blizzard World, and I'm curious to see if that is going to also snowball into this next map.
Because I think this is a map as well where you can play like the Ramatra composition and the Mei. Like, there are some enclosed quarters, especially when you start going over to third point and like in that little area at the very end of the museum. But I think that, again, it is, whenever you play against a team like Triple Esports, it's like, what can you force us off of the Pharah? If you can force us off the Pharah, then you have like a much better chance. Because I think that there were times where we saw like Yazan was staying on it and, you know, trying to use Barrage or something like that, see if they could buy his way back in. But just unfortunately, he wasn't able to do so, as we do have a tweet here coming up.
Ooh, let's see it. We got spoiled with Rich Red and Kenobi on the Owl desk, and now we get them in Path to Pro.
Look, no airline is going to stop me, even if I'm behind 25 planes on the tarmac.
I can't believe
25
that.
plus, actually. They didn't actually tell us how many it was. They said 25 plus planes are ahead of us on the tarmac, so we gotta wait.
That's the number they choose. They're gonna be like, yeah, so, you know, we don't have like a significant number, but we're gonna start baseline at 25 and then go up from there.
An hour and a half later, they're like, yeah, it's 10 now, but we still don't know what time we're gonna leave. And I was like, okay, great.
Good thing is, though, at least we got you here, Kenobi. It was a pleasure being
Tell us
there.
About
Tell
us about your nightmares on the tarmac of an airline.
Nightmares indeed. But we're glad to be back. We're super excited as we're going to be unfolding here on this next map of Rialto and what we're going to see from Sheer Cold competing against Triple Esports.
Makes sense that we're seeing both of the Divas. I mean, just regardless of like where we are in terms of the region that we're playing in, D.Va is really good at this map, being able to juggle kind of towards the cart, get onto those high grounds, really try and take that spacing away. As we're seeing Sheer Cold running the same thing that they were running last time with the Zenyatta, as well with Sucrax here on that Baptiste. So they're going to be able to put out a lot of pressure onto that Pharah, but you can already see Yazan making a lot of value already just by pumping in that damage, but also playing around these little corners to be able to stay alive as much as they can.
Yeah, the rooftops are definitely a massive benefit here because it's really those channels that you can maneuver through, dropping down, this ebb and flow. It hasn't really been punished just yet until they start moving out into this open courtyard where they might be able to get a few additional angles to try and really deny the value that's being brought to this. You can even see a separation, the D.Va just diving towards the back line. But what a double kill coming out from Yazan instantaneously.
And actually, I really like what Triple Esports is doing, bringing Legendary on this Sombra here, because something that Legendary has been doing throughout a lot of this is hacking Icenom 9, because Icenom 9 is really the only thing that's going to be able to save the backline from a rocket like that. So if the D.Va's being continuously hacked and forced out, you can't use those, you can't use those boosters to get up to the back to the supports, help them out, and that's something that I think we have to see continuing, because if there is no way for Icenom 9 to be able to deal with Yazan in the air like this. This is going to continue to happen to Sheer Cold. They cannot walk out of this without having to use a significant amount of cooldowns or just losing members in the neutral lane.
Yeah, and it goes back to that conversation that we've had a lot. Do you opt to just completely ignore the Pharah as a whole and go for the backline, or do you try and take consideration to it out the gate? And this is a very stellar position that Yazan is going to have. Nobody really being able to dislodge it. Even Sheer Cold being able to work their way across this bridge is a hurdle.
Yeah, this is 2 minutes already taken off the clock, and you can see just how scared the supports are, right? Sobek and Sucrex are just in their spawn, right? They can't move because Yazan is sitting there continuously peppering them with damage.
Yeah, and they're watching this flanking angle to see if Fuse is going to look for potentially a pulse bomb that's just about to be online. The synergy between QRXU as well. They're moving into the open space again. You can see the defense matrix swiveling rapidly from Icenom 9, just looking to see who is going to be the most advantageous position to deny that incoming damage. Some harassment up top, Muse into the corner, but still focusing onto this D.Va play. Nanoed rocket barrage incoming. There is potentially... Oh, wow. Great survival, though, from Sucrax, who is still managing to elude. Unfortunately, a rocket goes wide just to the outside of the defense matrix and clips the support play.
Oh, they actually aren't able to get the res off, so Triple Esports have to retreat here and wait patiently. They do have some ultimates to work with. Legendary coming in soon. EMP, but QRQ gets the first one.
Gets 3, Anj is down, 1 follows in suit. The D-Mech comes through. There's a remech at least, so you can have Sheer Cold look to cycle back into this. The self-destruct on the corner. There's actually a great pickup by the micro rockets before the remech can come through.
Yazan got back into this and put out a lot of damage, and now Sucrex actually is kind of left alone by themselves. I think Sucrex is going to end up going down here unless the Zenyatta can come and help them out. Actually, the shift able to keep Sucrex alive, but so much time has been wasted. Only 45 seconds left, and Sheer Cold just have a Transcendence to work with.
Yazan's good. I'm just going to hold here for now. Might as well let him come to me. I'll just deal with that. But underneath, there is a massive aggression on QRXU, who has to force the translocate out and a little bit of a swivel with 28 seconds to go. Seeing what Muse is going to do underneath. Got the health pack so they can get back into it. Did not have to force the recall for now, as the defense matrix still continuing to cover Legendary on that Sombra play. This forward orb is going to make this very challenging. The aggression comes in, overwhelming the health value. Has not yet been D-Mech. Beautiful assistance by 1 and Anj to keep Mo alive on this D.Va. The sleep goes wide. The pulse also does so no one gets any benefit out of that with just under 3 meters. Overtime is active. Sheer Cold now on the attack, having one last chance to be able to reach these final few. And now, nice biode to sustain through it. Muse looking for the pickup, but look at the assistance by Anj. Up top, the rockets from the flank, hacked out. Both supports are dead. That's going to be game over here as Triple Esports manages to deny the initial checkpoint and clean up Sheer Cold.
EMP here, I think, from QRQ, not going to get too much value as Sheer Cold almost make it past first, but the hold was just too good for Triple Esports. And again, I think this was good adaptation, right? We've seen a lot of maps so far where the adaptation from map to map has been very good. We went from first, all of the maps, all the sub-maps we saw on Lijiang Tower, the adaptations we saw back on Blizzard World. This one was really good from Legendary. Legendary, not popping off too much in terms of the statistics or anything like that, but really, really focusing down that D.Va and giving Yazan that space to move forward. I think probably like a minute was just of the supports from Sucrex and Sobek just trying to get out of spawn.
How did Rich Red Live do the drive-through voice?
He did it in his hand, actually. I saw it.
Yeah, it's all about like voice manipulation and hi, welcome to wherever. Hi, welcome to Overwatch. This is gonna be good gameplay. Hi, competitive. What can I take?
It's all your Starbucks training, right?
It really is, absolutely. What can we get for you today on this reverse swap where it's gonna be Sheer Cold on the defense and Triple Esports on the attack? I don't know, Kenobi. It's just a good time. And for those of you that do like that and other things, you should definitely use that hashtag OWPTP2023. We love hearing it. I love comments like that.
Rich is a man of many voices, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them. We can go through the gauntlet, but we're going to deviate
get
away.
Actually, I don't know if
I didn't say that. Well, now see, you just threw the name out. We're gonna disregard that. Anyways, we're gonna be hopping into this with 6 seconds now until these doors open.
It could be any Carl. It doesn't
really
have to be the one that you're thinking of.
It could. There could be someone out there in the world. As we have 4 minutes now for Triple Esports to work their way through. They had a stellar defense, and now on the attack, they look to reach this initial checkpoint. What a instant takedown onto Muse out the gate, though, Kenobi.
That's really bad. I mean, they have to give up so much space now because the Tracer's not going to be a threat at all to the backline, and now you can see as well, Legendary getting a lot of value just moving forward and trying to take that space away, seeing what they can hack as Yazan getting taken down low, but the trusty Mercy is there to keep him alive.
Yazan still just laying waste to any target that lies within their sights. That inner statue in the courtyard being a place of defensive stance for Sheer Cold. Not really able to do too much here, because the second they poke out, they are in danger.
See, no one really can deal with Yazan in the air. Sucrack is getting taken down solo.
Immortality field
has to be forced out. I mean, there's just so many cooldowns that Yazan is forcing just by the virtue and just by being scared. Sucrax is antied and they're taking down solo.
It's 60 seconds into this, and you see Sheer Cold scrambling. Oh, Sobek, I am so sorry. What a huge assist from the tank, but unfortunately, it's only so long that defense matrix lasts, and especially if you weave it right around. They basically curved the rocket as Legendary comes in with the assist.
Yeah, and IceDom9 not going to be long for this world as Triple Esports are schmoovin' and groovin' right now. Sheer Cold, I mean, desperation swaps for them. Muse goes over to the mid just to try and offer a little bit more survivability onto the point, but look at all what the ultimates Triple Esports are going to have for Sheer Cold to walk into this with.
The drop from on high, the nano is there. Does the rocket barrage come online in time? It's active, the rockets rain. They don't even need them, it's just from far away. Roam free in the skies. It is going to be a Triple Esports completion, a massive performance just as well. We had Blizzard World Sheer Cold just laying into it, and you got Triple Esports doing the same here.
I mean, this was a lift for Yazan too. 15 limbs, 12 final blows, 2 deaths, most damage in the lobby. Unreal performance from. I mean, that's the Yazan that we kind of know and love, right? This player who on Pharah is just untouched. If you are not coming correct against this and you don't have, all your I's dotted, all your T's crossed, you will just get absolutely farmed, and that's exactly what happened to Triple Esports. That's what happened to Sheer Cold. Yes, I think we saw Sheer Cold make some good adjustments back on that Blizzard world. This was just another beast completely, and I think Triple Esports deserve a lot of credit themselves for making the adaptation of putting Legendary onto this Sombra. It was just an absolute nuisance. I mean, it's Zen and Bap against Sombra. Like, this backline was suffering the entirety of the map.
It was just so well done by Triple Esports again. They found themselves at a massive deficit on the previous map, and they come out tenfold here, making themselves have the map advantage and find themselves on a match point. And now we look again to see if there is this shift in map selection, if it's going to be something that looks more favorable for them to deny the opportunity of Yazan getting value, as we saw, coupling alongside Legendary. A lot of factors here, and I could really see this going to a map 5 though, with this ebb and flow.
I'm trying to think, though, what push map would I want to take this team to? Because Esperanza is like, sounds like it could be okay for Pharah, also very good for Echo. Coliseum would be one, but it's open in like the parts of the map that aren't like in the middle, and then
I was gonna say, unless you get it back to the neutral, like, then I think that like you'd have to get that early lead.
New Queens might be good because if Sheer Cold's gonna play like double flanker, it's a very good map for that, and Pharah might not be able to continuously just poke down because of always have the threat of like the Tracer or the Sombra in your backline, specifically onto Anj, so that might be something that they decide to do. But yeah, I think that for Sheer Cold is, again, a chance for them to try and make an adaptation to deal with what Triple Esports had made with their own adaptation, because I think that if they have a map like that again, where it's just Yazan being able to just free farm on the Pharah, this is not, like, Sheercold's out of this tournament.
Yeah, and it's a statement piece right now. And, you know, even talking a little bit further about the map selections, I definitely agree. And I think that it would be beneficial to look for that double flanker type of, you know, mechanical understanding that they can look to try and put pressure elsewhere, where Yazan is going to have to really evaluate exactly where they want to contribute that bandwidth, how they look to play more defensively than offensively, because we can see it, the posturing forward, using the reposition with the concussion rocket, finding those avenues of getting early eliminations. If you can start making Yazan play more defensively early and have to look for a way of almost playing triage in that sense, that's going to be your best opportunity, because then you can really exploit the weaknesses that we've seen from Triple Esports.
And I think that's New Queen Street is probably the one where I think that would be best for them, because of the fact that, like, Pharah is relatively static. As you do have it, it is going to be New Queen Street. Pharah is, like, pretty static in terms of, like, movement, right? I think she can, you know, have those moments where you get a little bit aggressive with concussive grenade and just, like, move forward, be very dynamic on that hero. But also, like, a lot of it's kind of just, like, sitting far away in one singular place, shooting. And on a map like New Queen Street, right, you can't just do that because of the fact that the flanker positionings are so strong on a map like this, right? Sombra's really good on a map. Tracer's fantastic on maps like this. And if you're just, you know, standing far away shooting down rockets, you can just be flanked by a Tracer and a Sombra. It's very difficult for just static heroes on a map like this to really thrive. That's why we see, like, sometimes Ashe here has some propensity to, like, be successful, but that's if you, like, win the first fight and then you have, like, a defensive posturing. That's what I think you need from, like, this team, right? You need to be able to win, like, the first fight if you're going to be playing Pharah.
Well, in addition to that, this one's a little bit more unique as well, because you touched on Colosseo for a moment, where there is that smaller, you know, encapsulated area at the neutral fight, and then it kind of opens up. Whereas with New Queen Street, there's still a lot of obstacles that reside within that initial choke area that they fight against, and then also surrounding when it comes to, like, the gym area. You've got the trees, you've got the buses, you've got the channels, you've got the catwalk, you've got the couple of other side rooms, that there's so many little areas that you can look for cover. So it's going to be really on the shoulders of Yazan to be able to find an angle that's actually optimal in these open spaces.
There was any Pharah, though, to do that, I think it would be Yazan.
Agreed. Oh, 100%.
If there was any person, though, that I'd be like, hey, I think they can play Pharah on a sub-optimal Pharah map, it's probably Yazan, with how much understanding they have of that hero in particular. But I think you're right where it's like, there's not really that many, like, there's not much room for, like, cover on a map like this. It's not like Rialto, where it's like, Rialto is just a bunch of 90-degree buildings.
Yep.
And 90-degree angles that you're just like, I can hide behind. Nothing's going to be able to poke me down. New Queen Street isn't necessarily that. A lot of the cover is, like, a little bit lower to the ground, makes it easier for, like, a Devo, a Sombra, a Tracer to get into you and make your life a little bit more difficult. So we'll see if the Pharah sticks, but what I also would be interested to see if we do see an Echo. That is something that I think that Yazan is also very good at and might offer a little bit more forgivability on a map like this, instead of, like, just bringing in the Pharah and just, you know, playing it very, very slow.
Well, the other part of it too is you have such a great execution factor. Like, when you do get that focusing beam and those prime targets, when they just drop below that 50% mark, it can really be a guaranteed elimination, and you go aggressively into these close quarters, especially with the stickies and the tri-shot. Everything can really be great if you can find yourself in a position like that that's very dominant. As we are about to enter into this, looks like we had a subtle delay on connection, so we will be entering into it shortly, and excited to actually see whether or not it will be the Pharah or the Echo, or maybe something, you know, out of left field.
Someone said they forgot their pizza in the oven, but I don't think that happened.
I saw that too. I was like, oh no, that's a tragedy. My question is what toppings were on it, because that'll actually matter for me. If it has
you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and make the executive decision to skip past the pizza topping discussion.
I did too.
Move back into New Queen Street.
I did too. I did not specify anything, and neither did you. We've been able to reel it in, chat.
We were reeling
it in. We said it to have you think about it, but didn't say it because you were already thinking about it. There we go, friends. There we go. As we now have these 20 seconds before entering into it. And again, hashtag OWPTP2023. We want to see you in here. There could be another map coming up for this EMEA region, but you never know. It could end now, so that's why you got to get them in fast.
Triple Esports interesting look for them. Again, the Echo would be the thing that I'd be like, hey, is this going to happen? I wonder if they're going to be bringing the Pocket with it as well, because I think it's not necessary. Moxie mentioned this actually previously, is that like because you have the assassination potential with the focusing beam, Mercy's not a complete necessity, but I think, you know, it's always still good to have just to be able to keep Yazan alive and pump out a lot of damage, get duplicate very quickly. But you can see Sheer Cold not merely making too many swaps in themselves. Bring back the Moira, though. They want to have that survivability and rush potential, because if they just hack one like that, it's completely over.
And you could see with the overhead, they just blitzed down Triple Esports, and there was no foundation. This is just a rundown.
QRXU hacked Yazan, and Yazan just fell off the map. That's gonna be one of the worst feelings on any flying hero. It's just when that happens. It is the worst feeling when you lose your ability to fly.
Oh, what happened, Sombra? Oh, I neutered him. Gonna fall to their demise.
It's just unfortunate. But Triple Esports makes some swaps already. Legendary going to be going over to that Torbjorn again. Was so successful on Lijiang Tower, dealing with this double flanker look. But Sheer Cold have the advantage already by taking this first point, and it's going to be difficult for Triple Esports to really hold defensively.
And you could just see QRXU just hugging the wall, waiting to be unleashed from the shadows.
I hate that you stall there.
Yeah, it's just utilizing that window to the best of their abilities, but since they're having to worry about the stall, they can kind of deviate away, and that's why they were going and following up onto Yazan. Though there is a great recovery here, Triple Esports collapsing back onto that reposition, since you did have the emphasis to try and take down Yazan, and they picked a perfect time to retaliate.
And that's one of the things about this composition from Triple Esports. You cannot just let them sit there and, like, farm you. You can't just let them poke, because eventually they'll just win. They have the sustainability advantage. You have to get these fights out quickly, and you could see QRXU and Muse, they were just so scared to walk forward because Legendary was there on the Torbjorn, going to be able to take him down, as Triple Esports have the lead now to work with as they move forward. There's going to be a Valkyrie for Anj, so can give that sustainability or damage boost to the entirety of the team, but Sheer Cold have an EMP to work with, and that could be the thing that breaks it open.
Now under contention, Pulse Bomb comes in onto Legendary, managing to take the numbers advantage. Anj committing in with the Valkyrie for that extra throughput and not only healing, but possible damage to counteract it. There is the res.
How did he get that?
I can't even believe that. That's like threading a needle for how quickly you saw the responsiveness come out from Sheer Cold to deny it. It's going to be a numbers advantage. Yazan gets that focusing beam onto the support, so it's truly only one support trying to keep Sheer Cold alive. The Jagged Blade from Triple Esports bringing right back into the depths, as you do have that self-destruct, not clipping in time, but rounding the corner is Muse to get a great two-piece cleanup.
Well, Legendary is back, though, on the Sombra. I mean, Yazan is still here, but doesn't have a healer with him at the current moment. One has gone over to the Kiriko just to try and maybe TP back, but Yazan ends up getting taken down in the spot. Start moving back over for Sheer Cold. Can they get the members back in time, though, to be able to get them back into this fight?
Yeah, so chaotic. You saw Icenom9 doing so much to try and weather all of that happening at one moment. Legendary has to force the translocate. Great job by QRXU getting the better end of that exchange, ever closer to that checkpoint to take the advantage. But realistically, the distance hasn't been heavily accumulated. They're barely halfway to the initial checkpoint on either side.
And they just don't have a way to take down Mo from this high ground. There's not really a way to get in there. You don't want to be in an enclosed area with a Junker Queen like this, as the Ant Matrix comes down from Sucrax just to try and zone everybody out of it, but great peel and disengage from Triple Esports negates it completely.
And they're holding on to this rampage until a perfect moment. You do have the dive into the window for the moment, but instantly changes trajectory with the EMP. Only clipping one here, as it's going to be now a recovery once again. Translocate out from Legendary. There's the Rampage focusing beam. Yazan has already proven their value on the Pharah, and opting onto the Echo shows no less perseverance.
Oh, and that's going to be another one down so back. I mean, Icenom9 is traded back too for this, but the bot is already moving back over. No supports available, but I think that if you're Sheer Cold, you have to retreat and wait for those supports to come back into this, as Sobek is actually going to go over to Lucio just to try and give some tempo to Sheer Cold, because they don't really have it. They can't, again, just continuously poke and poke and poke. They need to be able to force the issue onto one of those backline members of Triple Esports and win these fights quickly.
And we'll see if they can find early value as they did on the initial neutral onto one, but that's a 3-player EMP. Now going to land onto Sobek as well, getting the shutdown. QRXU has to just abandon ship here, and once again, this will be progression for Triple Esports.
Yeah, and with Sucrax going down, that's a lot of healing that's lost. Sheer Cold have to get out of dodge, and Triple Esports, I mean, even when Sheer Cold come back into this fight, Triple Esports have 3 very key ultimates to work with, right? The Kitsune Rush is going to be a monstrous thing for them to walk through, as was actually a translocator. I thought he got the
Back out
stickies
a little.
onto a frozen, or onto an invisible Sombra, but here comes Icenom now. He's back over to try and contest before the checkpoint.
That checkpoint is vital for Triple Esports, which is why they want to lead in with the Kitsune Rush. They want to guarantee that they gain this with 5 minutes still to go. Up top, Yazan, not being contested, hides behind the wall for the moment as the self-destruct dissipates. Remech onto Mo, so they've eliminated the tank line. Junker Queen put 6 feet under, as finally you do have Sheer Cold with quite a convincing takeback, and another ballsy res comes out by Anj.
Remech kills are never not going to be funny. Like, they're just always...
It's a grin on the face every time.
Especially when you do it to the opposing tank, like, that's gotta feel so good for themselves. And Sheer Cold, luckily for them, are able to hold, but the most important thing is that they held before the checkpoint happened. So now Sheer Cold can start moving forward. The biggest thing is they don't want to get stuck here again. They've been stuck here twice, and now if they can finally just start moving this bot forward, it can't be contested on this high ground, and now it's a little bit more open, where Sheer Cold will have an ability to try and take these fights a little bit more quickly.
And you can see that Icenom 9 mitigating early on those stickies. Great takedown by QRXU. Just out the gate managing to alleviate that problem. And one goes down as well. This is not looking good for Triple Esports, is the fact that Sheer Cold, if they continue this focus fire, they'll be able to get to this checkpoint.
Yeah, now that we're finally in this open area, you can see Sheer Cold can set the tempo a little bit more aggressively, right? You have that ability to move forward, put QRXU into these positions where they can go in as the duplicate actually comes in from the D.Va. He's on trying to find a way to get this self-destruct.
There was an EMP that came out, but I believe it was the Suzu that eliminated it onto another player, so it made Sheer Cold be able to overwhelm them again, really only having to commit the 3 ultimates, so they still have 2 in their back pocket. Pulse Bomb, most specifically if they want to get an early advantage.
Yeah, they got the checkpoint to work with as well. Mo actually gets booped, so they can't get up those staircases. Legendary not going to end up going down, stays alive, and Triple Esports switching up their composition again, bringing in that Torbjorn to deal with the double flankers, but also we're going to be seeing Yazan going back over to that Pharah. Again, that long-range one-shot potential going to be incredibly hard to deal with.
Rampage onto 2. They have the ability to elude, and they have so much movement to not be taken down by the rockets from up top, since it is back onto the Pharah. Separated, though, into the back. Unfortunately, not going to be able to recover any further as the Carnage gets the takedown. This is still a lot of time being ran down with Sheer Cold staggering out here. Suzu buys a few more seconds, but unfortunately can't escape that final rocket.
QRXU and Muse are still in the backline, just really being a nuisance right now. QRXU will finally go down here eventually, but a lot of time has been taken off this clock, and at least the checkpoint was secured for Triple Esports, so that's good for them. But Triple Esports come back into this one. They're going to have not really any key ultimates yet. The biggest one is going to be looking out for is going to be that rally from 1. If the rally from 1 can find a way to get back into this fight, that is something that they can use to overwhelm Sheer Cold, because Sheer Cold have literally nothing to work with here on this defensive end. They have to find a pick in the neutral.
I mean, the biggest benefit, too, is the fact that they were able to deny the checkpoint here for Triple Esports, so they do have to weather that as they look to try and take the advantage in distance, since that is a massive time eliminator as well. Those few seconds and just recovery potential is so much value to them, as Yazan gets a huge shutdown onto the support play. Sobek as well, extremely low, has to be cognizant of how this engagement is going to continue. The D-Mech makes this look even more disastrous here, with Triple Esports going to guarantee this checkpoint and now look for the distance advantage.
Again, it's just so difficult to take these fights if you're Sheer Cold, because Triple Esports, if you're Sheer Cold and you're not moving quickly, Triple Esports are totally fine handshaking and saying, hey, let's just have a poke war. We have Yazan, one of the best Pharaohs, with a Mercy on him. We can just find someone in that back line with a double direct rocket, and you don't have any supports left, and the fight is completely gone. Luckily, there is going to be that checkpoint, so the Butch Crouch will come through, and Sheer Cold will be able to recontest, and EMP from QRXU is going to be big here.
They have just a couple of meters. They go in for the contention. Muse goes for the pulse spawn. Does not quite land the mark, though. Unfortunately, to translocate up top for the EMP. Clips both of them. Anj does go down, but the Rockets counteract and get both backline flankers, and going to completely now have the advantage to recover into this. Moving forward, the D-Mech does come out, though, as well. So it is not just yet over for Sheer Cold. They have to force out the Transcendence to buy enough time for both QRXU and Muse to get back into this.
Icenom 9, though, is not going to be able to find a way to get back into this mech, and it's just completely disastrous for them. Mo does end up going down, so both the tanks are not in this fight. Respawns are going to be a little bit closer here, though, for Sheer Cold, but it's already Triple Esports taking the advantage and taking now the W potentially in these next 30 seconds.
By a substantial margin, if they continue to take down these supports, it's going to be game over here for Sheer Cold. They have recovered. They have rallied. They are looking to now get back into this, but this Rampage could be the deal breaker.
Rampage going to be huge here. No support ultimates available for Sheer Cold either. No Suzu, so this is going to be a free one for Mo.
Pack in the back. Nice harassment. Commanding shout is out. That's no longer available if they look to aggress onto this flanking angle again. By Muse can't quite get the clip that they necessarily wanted. And at this point, Triple Esports is fine drawing back. They want to find a position that's going to be best for them to be able to take this final fight as we enter into the overtime. Sheer Cold now doesn't unfortunately have full numbers now because Yazan finds QRXU. Molten Core shall be able to melt this block of ice that Sheer Cold is. Self-destruct up top. Are they going to be able to get out of it? Eclipse 1, the turret as well. They're still into this, but the Rampage comes in across the center, managing to hit it onto 2. One of the supports specifically, the Amplification Matrix still being held onto as Muse now with the Pulse Bomb. There's weathering this for the moment around the bot. The numbers advantage finally in favor of Sheer Cold, but Yazan in the back. Both supports are down. Once again, able to take the advantage. They might have just broken them in these final instances. The overtime is still active. They just have to get rid of Muse, the sole remaining player. The Jagged Blade goes wide, and that is going to be enough heat coming out from Triple Esports that they will just completely melt away Sheer Cold's dreams and knocks them out.
It's another Yazan deadlift on the Pharah. I mean, what more have we come to expect from this player? Just an absolutely fantastic performance on the Pharah, on the Echo. Yazan, unmatchable on this map and in this series. I mean, there was just a one map of, I think, Blizzard World where Yazan maybe like wasn't playing as good as he's been playing previously, but beyond that, Yazan played absolutely impeccable. I think the rest of Triple Esports deserves a lot of credit as well. Legendary, in particular, I think the ability for Legendary to switch over to this Sombra, get these EMPs, get those hacks onto Ice Dom 9, which were so super effective at negating a lot of counter to Yazan, just absolutely perfectly played from Triple Esports, and they're going to be moving forward. Sheer Cold, unfortunately for them, it's the end of the road, but they did put up a pretty good fight.
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you see that Yazan deadlifts emphasis on again. Yeah, you definitely put up quite a fight here to be able to compete against them. But moving forward now, major props here to Triple Esports as they are still having an opportunity to work their way through this losers bracket, as we have nothing but a highlight reel from Yazan and what they brought to the table. And it's just so spectacular. I could just sit on this POV all day.
I just love the movement and just the understanding of the hero, right? That's like the biggest thing when like you watch like really good Pharah players who play like that. One pick onto QRXU right there, the conk into the like direct, like that's something that you don't do unless you're so adept at the hero and kind of just like that's like he's like Rain Man. He's like, okay, if I concussive grenade here, you're gonna move all the way over here, and I'll move my mouse just like this much to the side, direct hit, and I'm gonna get the kill. Like Yazan, I think played absolutely phenomenal. The rest of Triple Esports did as well. Great job enabling someone like Yazan, and Triple Esports will continue their run through the lower bracket.
And I'm excited to see their continued run through that lower bracket because, again, this is a team that you can never count out in what they've been able to do. Extremely excited to be able to see them move on and, you know, fond farewells, since it is Sheer Cold able to put up still a worthy competition in this playoff bracket. But again, we're continuing to refine down to the best teams over these, you know, next few matches that we have in the week to come. And we actually do get a chance to have an interview with Mo, and that's going to be an exciting moment to hear how they're feeling after that, since it did look somewhat shaky for a moment or so, but ultimately cleans it up in the end. So don't go anywhere, friends.
Tracer has quickly become one of the most popular heroes in high-level Overwatch 2. It takes insane mechanical skill, cerebral game sense, and ice in your veins to make impact plays with her, but these players make it look easy.
Maimon and Vestal are just playing off of each other perfectly.
W Maimon, by the way, found one who built that Transcendent. And a pulse bomb connects onto both Fuki and Turkey. W Maimon on this map on Havana truly has been next level.
And just as their eyes glance away, a pulse bomb connects to the back of their head. Kanale and Cookie hit the dirt. Rocket trying. Rocket could be a hero in moments like these. Rocket saved the day again! Rocket's gonna chase him out too. Oh, and he Tracer gaps him. Yeah, Rocket's that guy right now.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we are here for the final interview for the EMEA region today, and we are super excited to have Mo with us. My friend, how are you feeling? It was a great game again, some stellar performances all around, a double deadlift on your squad. How you feeling?
It's actually good. We played against first match was against a good team, which was Twisted. Second match was against a random team. And I think we just try to make the series longer and make Yazan fans happy to see him play a lot of maps.
For the content, thank you for the content. We
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it a lot. So walk me through a little bit about this series, specifically, I think, the team aspect of it, because obviously, yes, Yazan is coming in double deadlift, playing incredibly well on the Pharah, but how is it as a team dynamic? Because I think that Yazan isn't able to probably do this unless the team around him is working so well. So how is it for you guys kind of maneuvering around, giving room for Yazan to have these carry potential maps?
I mean, we just play the heroes is good for Yazan to let him play really good, So sometimes as you see maybe in the match we play Queen and maybe we play Diva. So it's situational against their comps what they're playing, but we just try to build our comps just around Yazan to let them play really good. And
So-
they do it.
So, it doesn't happen often, and we got to see a little bit of it in Blizzard World, where there was the shift away from it due to just kind of how the match is going. What is that conversation like with your team to, have Yazan change to something different, to make those types of adaptations? Is it something that Yazan just kind of takes on their own and say, this is exactly what I want, or is it more like a team coordination of saying what's going to be the best for us here? What does that communication look like?
I mean, Blizzard World was a hard map for Farah. And one of the players couldn't come, which is Turkey, because he have exam tomorrow, and so we had to play that map and force our comps. Our comp wasn't that good in that map because they play Zen Bab, which is there is a lot of distance to cross, and we couldn't dive. It's just gonna be really hard to play. So we just give this map for content for them.
Okay.
That's going to be the tagline for you.
A lot of people, I think, in chat
I'm
who got
having Overwatch for content for the content guys.
Hey, you help people get skins. That's probably what it
You do.
That's what you're a man of the people. You're a man of the people. Appreciate that so much. But after kind of this Blizzard World happens, and so I guess the communication from a lot of you is probably just that's one. We'll give him the singular one. There wasn't really any down on your luck. You were all kind of very calm, cool, and collected. Is there anyone kind of that who keeps you all a little bit neutral in the shot calling aspect of it? Who is the one I think who brings you down to earth? I'll say.
Maybe I say me, because I always say to team remember the plans we to do and tell them how to play or maybe choose comps and how we can adapt against their comp and just make them calm, And whenever just go down, I say to them, guys, just press tab and look at the enemy team, and you remember he's gonna be stronger than them. So they just get mentally boosted.
All right. So now that at least you've been the one to keep a level head for the squad, what's the mindset moving forward now? Because you do have the next match, which is going to be, at a later time, of course, but it's going to be against Aw Yeah. Any kind of expectations or thoughts going into that match as you continue to work through the losers bracket before we let you go?
I mean, I think we can beat Oya, so we're just looking forward to repeat the match against Twisted, the revenge again.
The revenge, all right. Just gonna jump a couple matches, just say, nah, we coming back at you.
Yeah. We just take the revenge and make it our battle. That's it.
All right. Well, we got it live here. I'm looking forward to it. Kenobi and I, all of us casters, are ready to see that redemption arc to come back at Twisted. We greatly appreciate your time, Mo. Thank you so very much. Stellar play today, and we can't wait to see the rest of the team perform.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Mo.
Take care. Oh, so good. Already looking towards the end.
I
looking toward the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I want.
Hearing Mo, I'm I want another Twisted. Triple Esports matchup. I think I want the run back, especially in a high stakes environment like that, where maybe it's in grand finals or in losers finals. Yes, please. I would like to see that, but no slouches in their own right. Second seed coming into this tournament, like they definitely have a lot of potential as well. But we can take a look at the schedule and how we ended up here, Rich, after today. Moxie and Dustin took you through those first 2 games. It was Twisted Minds beating Triple Esports earlier in 3-1 fashion, and taking down SR Peak Check in a 3-0. And we wrapped it up right here with Triple Esports 3-1 against Sheer Cold. And as we look over to the bracket, take a look at how all of these teams have gotten here, Rich. I mean, it's been a bracket that I think that there are some shocking things in there, right? I think, losing, second seed, like losing to X Oblivion 3-1, I think was a big one. I think Twisted Mind still just also looks incredible. I think they look like they are one of the best teams, if not the best team. Like, still haven't lost a series yet, by the way. So that team, until someone knocks them off their pedestal, they are the kings.
Absolutely. And with what we have coming up in the future, we can actually show you what that's going to look like. It's going to be on May 9th, specifically, that we get to have these matches continue. Twisted Minds versus Ex Oblivione, as we do have against Triple Esports, as we just had a conversation about in that interview. Looking forward to it. But again, Triple Esports already has that light at the end of the tunnel. They want to go after Twisted Minds. But as we do talk about, the conclusion for today, at least on EMEA, and what is to come, we also have to take a look at NA and what we have in just a few hours, just over 3 to be exact, Kenobi. And we're going to be here to start that off with Trick Room and Saints.
Yeah, we're going to be kicking it off with Doran Herix wrapping up the last 2, but that Trick Room Saints matchup, oh boy, I am so ready for that one. I mean, these are 2 teams that, like, going into the tournament, I was like, they are favorites, and they're meeting this early in this part of the bracket right after the quarterfinals. I'm so excited for that. 0-3 Splash and Wisp, who, shockingly, as we'll see in the bracket, our first seed losing to the 8th seed in Afterlife in 3-2 fashion. Wisp have to make that salty run back because they look like the best team. I mean, it was like them and Saints, I think, were the 2 best, but that 1 seed going down so early, I mean, very, very shocking. But this bracket looks like it's shaping up to be a really good one. Look at how many close matches we've seen already on that top side of the bracket. But Trick Room versus Saints will be looking for a place in that Winners Grand Finals.
I mean, even just talking about the other, unfortunate one, we typically see Redbirds working their way through the bottom, but like they hit the losers bracket and they went out as well. So there's a lot of things that I think, are really shaken up going into this, but excited to see how it continues to unfold, as like we mentioned, you and I are going to be leading with that first match, which is going to be quite a spicy one for us. So all of you that are tuning in, make sure you're back here at about that 3-hour time so you can see all the action. As we do also want to make sure that you remember hashtag OWPTP2023. You've got a few hours to prep some tweets. We want to see it. Me and Kenobi are going to be here waiting for it. So what are you doing? Just already start drafting them out. Save them in your Twitter, making sure that you can have those ready for us. But Kenobi, it's been awesome here to be on EMEA. Looking forward to doing some NA, so don't go anywhere. Like I said, 3 hours just about, and we'll see you on that time, friends.
Has your music lately been sounding off? Melodies sounding out of tune? Shows ending without a swoon? Missing your beats? With no way to improve your feats? Well, just you wait until you get your hands on the brand new Overwatch Contenders Lucio skin! Obtaining such a masterpiece is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim each outstanding offer, including the luminescent and lustrous lime locks of Lucio, equipped with the latest and greatest hardware and software. The Overwatch Contenders Lucio skin will be sure to heighten your harmonies and fire up your fans.